All right, in this lab we're going to continue where we left off from the previous introduction to the walk cycle. We got the first step in, and now we need to go ahead and get the second step in, because the first step that we have here is not going to cycle back into the actual walk cycle. So we have to go through this entire process one more time in order to get a clean, smooth walk cycle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to extend my timeline, and I'm going to insert a frame, right click, insert frame, and I'm just going to give myself more frames to work with. Now I'm going to continue with the cycle, except this time notice how contact is the same as contact here, except this time it's going to be the opposite foot leading forward. And I'm going to go ahead and just continue with the same process, and then I'm going to show you something really cool right at the end to make this cycle nice and smooth and easy to, very easy way to get your walk cycle to cycle smoothly and seamlessly, most importantly. So I'm going to go through here, and I'm just sort of going to make these as best as I can, so then I can go ahead and I can slide this over. And my down pose, oh, don't know what happened there. My down pose, I'm going to also bring his body down a little bit, and his arm down a little bit, and this arm down a little bit. And then I'm going to go into my passing position. Now this is a really quick, easy way to sort of make sure you're locking down your poses. To have that reference is really wonderful. Sometimes you just got to sort of shimmy it to the point where you want it to be. And let me bring this up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Now I can go ahead and do the next one. And this. Here. And this one is where I'm going to actually do something like this. Let's go ahead and play it, scrub through it, and I might even get rid of that last pose I was working with. Contact. Ooh, I skipped a pose. Down. Ooh. Contact. This pose, what I can do is I can click, hold, and drag and slide these over. And now here, I'm actually just going to clear these because they're no good to me at this moment. It'll be easier for me to get this next down pose that I skipped accidentally, like so. I thought it was going a little too quick. Okay, so there's down. And just to give that little oomph emphasis on him stepping down, because this is the furthest down he will be. Do something like that. Okay. And then we'll go ahead, and now I'll go to my next pose. And that's the up, or passing position, then the up position. Come on. Okay. Something like that. And let's bring these down just a little bit, and we're going to add a little exaggeration on there. And then we'll go to the next one. And then, now that I'm here, give him a little bit more. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to cycle this thing. So I'm going to hide this reference really quickly. Okay. The next pose, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this first frame, the very first one, and then you're going to notice the little white box with the little outline around it. Click and drag. This is basically going to copy and paste it. And now what's going to happen when I hit play, okay, and I'm going to remove these frames because I don't need them anymore. And this is just my first pass, so I'm sure once I play this back in its entirety, I'm going to see some mistakes that I would like to fine tune or tweak or adjust or whatever. But for the most part, I'm pleased with it. And then, in here, actually, I can just delete this reference. You can keep it in there if you'd like, or you can set it to be a guide layer, which will hide it. And now, the other thing I need to make sure is on my main stage here is that I have all of the frames I need for it to cycle. So in this case, it goes up to 41. So I need to make sure on my scene 1, I have at least 41 frames. Okay. Now, I'm also going to take my ground line and bring it up a little bit. Something like that. Alright, so now when I hit Control Enter, this is just a walk cycle in place. Now, what I can do from this point to, let's say I think it's walking a little too fast for a zombie. A stereotypical normal walk cycle for like a human walking down the sidewalk or whatever, from point A to point B, it's 24 frames for an entire full walk cycle. For like, as if, you know, you're a business person going to work, walking on the sidewalk, sort of in a quick walk. That's the standard rate for something like that. Average. But walk cycles can be as many frames as you need it to be. And in this case, I'm going to show you something really cool with the bone tool. So I have my cycle in here, and I have all these frames, and let's say I wanted it to be faster or slower. I'm going to click on here, and I'm just going to, you notice the little arrow tool pops up, and then I'm going to bring it down, and you'll see those frames automatically adjust. Now let's say I wanted to stretch it out and bring it to like frame 80. I wanted it to be twice as slow. You'll see that the frames automatically adjust themselves for you, which is awesome. So now, go back in here, make sure you have enough frames here to play, And now he's going to be walking twice as slow. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. I think that's a little bit more zombie-like pace, very slow. And that works. So you'll notice that this scene here is automatically cycling itself. So at frame 80, that's the full cycle, you'll notice it just smoothly transitions right back into the very next frame, which is beautiful. So one last little trick I can show you, because in this case it's not too noticeable, it's a really slow cycle, but let's say you had something a little bit faster. This frame 1 and frame 80, they play for 2 frames in a row. In this case, you can't really notice it that much because it's just such a slow motion. But technically, you would not want that frame to play twice at any point. In a faster cycle, it becomes pretty noticeable. So what you can do is you can click on here on the frame right before it and just hit Insert Pose. And then go ahead and remove this frame. And now you're not going to have that pose play for 2 frames in a row. It's just a little technicality, but certainly helps. So if I'm going to go and say I want this to play, I'm going to make it 170 so you can see that it doesn't cycle. You'll see it recycle back to the beginning at a different point. And it should be right there. So now you can see sort of it cycles through. Now I no longer have it playing this for the same frame twice, which is the very first pose. And I've got this little zombie going. Now, the next thing I want to do is I'm just going to lock my ground layer. I don't really need it. If I were to have him just walk in place and have him going back to Project 2, the escape animation, what I would do is I would have things move in the background where he would stay stationary right here on the main stage. Now if I were to have him walk across the stage like as I had shown you earlier, there's a really cool way to do it. That's fine for now. And what I'm going to do, because I'm on my main stage here, if I double click on him, I'm inside my Zombalian symbol. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start him off stage here. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to do create motion tween. And now what I'm going to do is, let's say, I don't think that 170 frames will be enough for him to go across. I'm going to start with like 250. Oop. And I'm going to go ahead and bring him all the way over here. Let's just say you wanted it to be like that. You wanted him to walk across the stage. Now let's say when I play it, we'll notice if it's too slow or too fast. But you'll see his feet are sliding like a lot. Just like sliding. So we want to fix that. And how we go about doing that is foot reference. I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing, make it black, a little bit easier to see, these little foot guidelines. So now, here, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and take them, and I'm going to bring them this way, something like that. Okay, and now, here, I'm going to go ahead and just slightly adjust them to every point in which I need, and I can even do it by height too, so if I need to bring them down because it's just looks a little weird, I can do that too. And we want to bring them over this way. And this way. I'll just slide this over. I could draw new ones. I'm just sort of trying to do this quickly. Something like that. It looks like here, probably want to bring them back just a little bit. And then here, something like that. And I'm just going through this now, and believe it or not, this is actually a pretty fast way of doing this. Because we're not animating them walking just straight across every single frame. That would take a lot longer. In this case, I just have them cycling, going through it. And I'm starting to clean up that. And even here, just bring them down and adjust the height. And here, bring them down. Something like that. It doesn't need to be perfect, but okay. And you'll see he slides crazy there. We'll bring him back this way. Oh, it looks like I made a... I don't know, it's that extra pose I threw in there just for fun. Just because I knew I wanted him to be a little funky and wonky because he's a zombie. Okay. Now, take this, slide it over. And I don't expect your cycles to be perfect, just like mine's not going to be perfect. Give it your best shot, though. And let's go ahead and see what happens here. Okay. Here. And here. Okay, and then take that, slide it over. Here. Slide them over. Something like that. Definitely could use a little work, but I'm okay with it. See how far he is across the stage. Okay. And then I'm just going to take this, slide it over. Okay. Now I'm going to take this, slide it over. Okay. And that should do it. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure. There we go. And I can just remove these frames. And I can get rid of this one. And here, I mean, I could keep it in there if I wanted. I'm just going to delete it for now. And now, I'm going to hit Fit in Window. And I'm going to press Control Return, or Control Enter. And just show you I got this little... It's a little bit better. It's definitely needs some fine-tuning and tweaking. But this is all I'm looking for. Something that just gets the character moving, walking, and have him walk from one side of the screen to the other. So I want you to combine the two techniques. I want you to animate the walk cycle within the nested symbol, and then have him motion tween across the stage. So you're combining two different techniques, all within a nested symbol, and it can really bring out amazing results. And it's a time saver. Using the bone tool combined with the motion tween tool, it'll save you a lot of headaches. It might, while making it and setting it up, it might make you want to pull your hair here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty simple. We've already done a lab on creating some joints and making like a hinged thing, and that's what we did here with the legs. That's what the legs are. And obviously the rest of the joints are all the same way set up. So anyway, all I'm looking for is this guy walking as best as you can possibly get him to walk from one side of the screen to the other, and then just go ahead and turn that in. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the lab, and yeah, have fun.